The most recent development that I think everyone is probably most interested in is the revelations that we've heard from an important Icelandic newspaper in the past week about the key witness, the key US witness and source, Siggi Þórðarson. These are important revelations which are backed up through an extensive and in-depth investigative report by award-winning Icelandic journalists, showing that the basis for the second superseding indictment, and importantly, that's the indictment which included hacking allegations which have never previously been made against Julian, which was based upon Mr. Þórðarsson's testimony and evidence, was served on Julian on the first day of the extradition proceedings in September 2020, when we'd already served all the evidence, we'd already served all the submissions, we'd already made all our legal arguments, and then suddenly the US was presenting a whole entire new case, which we didn't have any opportunity to properly or reasonably engage with before the extradition proceedings. Now, following an in-depth investigative process by leading Icelandic journalists, we not only know that the US engaged in questionable legal, arguably unlawful evidence-gathering activities in Iceland, which the Icelandic government is concerned about, but second, that this key witness not only has no credibility, we know that he's a convicted criminal, having been convicted in relation to sexual abuse in respect of minors and fraud-related offences, that the US case has no factual basis. Now, that is a question now for the Department of Justice. In terms of what we can do legally in the UK, we have done everything that we can do. We have challenged the extradition, we won the case, the US is now appealing, and we will continue to argue for that. The question is now for the Department of Justice about whether this is an indictment that they ought to be pursuing. It's hard for me to believe that it's Julian's 50th birthday. I spent his 40th birthday party with him in house arrest in the north of England in Norfolk 10 years ago, and that this person who has won these incredible awards, the Walkley Award for Most Outstanding Contribution to Journalism, the Sydney Peace Prize, and those two just here in Australia before we talk about the others around the world, has been under some form of restriction on his liberty since 2010 and since I've known him, and certainly since his last milestone birthday. And what that says about our democracy is a conversation that I think we all should be having this week and this weekend. But to give you a little update in terms of where we are now, not just reflecting on how long this has gone on and what it's meant for him personally, I'm sad that we can't celebrate his birthday together this time around. But just to reflect on where we are. So as you all know, we won the extradition hearing. So in January, on the 4th of January this year, the judge in the proceedings chose to discharge Julian. So he should be released and with his family. We won the hearing. And it's only because the United States appealed that decision and opposed our bail application, which was then refused by the judge, that he remains in prison. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that at any point now, the United States could choose to withdraw their appeal and Julian could be released immediately to his family. That's how straightforward and simple the answer is in this case. If we talk about the Biden administration's public positioning, this is an administration that has stated its commitment to freedom of speech. It's an administration that has stated its commitment to closing Guantanamo, and it is a very strange position indeed for an administration taking these principled positions or stated policy positions to be continuing with this prosecution, which everyone agrees is a huge threat to free speech, completely inconsistent with the First Amendment, and to be prosecuting and imprisoning the person who's responsible for revealing information about Guantanamo that enabled the campaign to close that place down. It's an incredibly hypocritical position in a case where he should never have been in prison in the first place. And what we have to remember is that in most extradition cases like this, if we look back at the Laurie Love proceedings, people aren't held in prison pending extradition. The only reason Julian is in prison right now is because of the Trump administration, this outrageous indictment that it has been unanimously condemned by free speech groups and mainstream media organizations the world over, but also because the United States government is continuing to oppose his bail application. So it is an incredibly unjust situation, and as a lawyer, it is unbelievably uncomfortable for someone who believes in the rule of law to be visiting an award-winning editor and publisher who's been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, but to have to go into a high-security prison through layers upon layers of bureaucracy and security, to be searched, to have my papers gone through, to be patted down twice, my fingerprints taken twice before I'm able to sit down with him in a room. And this is a disgrace when we think about our Western liberal democracy.